Pay attention to your dreams, folks. Pay attention, okay? Because your guides, the angels, the folks back home looking out for you are always trying to communicate with you via your dreams. And I say always, almost every night. However, you also have to have discernment, because the dreams are not always the folks back home trying to communicate with you. Sometimes it's negative entities seeing an opening in you and sending some fear-based images, dreams, messages to get more energy out of you, to play on the fear. And when you're sick, you're getting all these nightmares. Because when you're sick, when your mind-body complex are not aligned, they're disharmonious, there is an opening which the negative entities see, the negative element, they see it, and they try to feed on it. Okay? So it isn't always, not every dream is going to be a guide trying to tell you something. Because if you're in a disharmonious state, you're going to see some nightmares. You're going to see some fear-based visions, dreams, etc. That's just the negative element, the negative spirits and entities trying to feed on you, seeing an opening in you. So if you do something like this, if you are eating very healthy and you don't eat anything, you go into sleep in a fasted state, so maybe like 5-6 hours, no consumption, you're gonna be in a lot more of an equilibrium, harmonious state where you can begin to trust your dreams more often. Your guides, your angels, they never try to communicate in fear. Never. Okay, so if you're scared in a dream, chances are that these aren't the folks back home trying to tell you something. Okay, this is why it's very important to take care of your mind-body complex throughout the day and go to sleep feeling really good. If you go to sleep feeling really good, you're gonna have dreams that are clearly trying to tell you something, and you'll know right away these are the folks back home. Never ever is it in fear. They don't communicate in fear-based, okay? If you're having nightmares, if you're having bad dreams, if you're having dreams that are fear-based, take care of your vehicle better. Take care of your mind better. Have some kind of a ritual before you sleep. Music, laugh. I watch South Park before sleeping. I make sure I go to sleep with a big laughter, okay? I make sure I go to sleep with a big laughter. So things like that. Food is very, very important. And, again, if you sleep at 11 p.m., stop eating at 5-6 p.m., okay? Just stop eating at 5-6 p.m. Even better, stop consuming, even drinking or anything, okay? Try and do like a daily 16 to 18 hour dry fast or something like that. Be really good for your health, but also you sleep more soundly. You'll be able to remember your dreams more, and your dreams are going to be messages rather than some fear-driven things and entities looking for an opening in you and trying to capitalize on it. This is why when you're sick, you have nightmares, because you have a compromised system and an opening. There's an opening there for the negative entities to feed off of, if you will. Okay, you're vulnerable, you're compromised. So, all of that being said, taking care of yourself, that goes without saying, but very important. You go to bed and you're feeling really good. I'd like to tell you a dream that I had recently. So I've been really lately involved in the Law of One and the ET stuff, the alien stuff, and it started happening when I started taking psychedelics, but now it's just sort of like there's no psychedelics being consumed or anything. It's simply like once you get in touch and you begin to have these synchronicities, blah 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 blah, it's like, man, you're on a mission, and you're in constant communication with the folks back home, right? It's like you're on a journey, but you got helpers, right? And the more you speak to them, the more you speak to them. It's like a momentum thing. The more you speak to them, the more you speak to them, period. The more they speak to you, because they know now this is an open conduit. We could speak to to him, to her more. And so you begin to see prophecies, things like I saw in my dreams. I won't go into it right now because I may be compromising the privacy of someone else. Okay, I don't want to infringe on the privacy or the free will of someone else, but I've actually saw some stuff that recently happened to me, that happened to someone else, and I saw it in a dream just before it happened to them. So really, it becomes quite dreams right now is my most direct and clear communication with the folks back home. Next comes synchronicities and numbers, but this is by far, because a lot of the messages I get in the dreams are very clear and direct. It's really astonishing. So I threw to the universe, I talked to the folks before going to bed. I said, look, just out of curiosity, not that I care, because I really don't care, but I guess I care. Otherwise, I wouldn't have asked. But it's not something. It's not. Let's just say it's not on my priority list. But I asked the question: which star system am I from? Right. I asked the question, and 3 days later, in a very, 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 very clear dream, like super, super clear, just as clear and as vivid as me looking at these trees here and these hills. A lady in her late 40s, very, very loving and benevolent, with a beautiful face, a beautiful smile, right? Very benevolent. Shows up in my dream. I guess she decides to manifest in that way, because your guides, your family back home, they can manifest in whichever way, and they'll see which one is most optimal for that particular message. So whoever that was, manifested in the form of a woman in her late 40s, very beautiful face, in a very beautiful form. And I was there, and I went up to her and I gave her a big hug. I knew this person clearly, like I just knew that soul. There was a very, very, very closeness and sense of familiarity. And I went up to her and she gave me a big hug, and I really needed that hug. So it was sort of like I saw her, and it just, like you run to your mom or something when you were a kid or something like that. She was a motherly figure, and I saw her, and she just gave me a big hug, and I just ran to her and I hugged her so much, and then she looked at me, and she said, "You're doing a really good job, down there, right?" She said, "You're doing a really good job," and I said, "Thank you. Just a good job with the mission, with the videos, with everything else." Then she just looks at me and she blurts it out. She says, you're Syrian. You're from the star system Syrian." I look at her and said, "All right, okay." And it was sort of a very certain, very like matter of fact thing that I just looked and said, "Yeah." It's almost like I remembered it. It's almost like, "Oh yeah, I know." I looked at her with a sort of, "I know." Yeah, like, okay. It was like, all right. And it was, because it's not a big deal which star system you're from and where you come. It's not a big deal, because all these actually star systems, if you listen to the law of one, there's 7 solar systems, 7 star systems. They're all so interconnected. That would be the Pleiadians, the Arcturus, the Sirians, very connected. So it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't. It really doesn't matter. But it was just like, yeah, nice. Just, it was also nice just being able to communicate like that so openly, in the dreams with the folks back home. And so that was one thing I received, and it had that matter of fact. This is the way it is. This is the truth. It had that vibe to it. There was absolutely zero doubt whatsoever. There was zero uncertainty, zero hesitation in her delivery, zero hesitation in my acceptance of that as being the way it is. That my soul came down from the Syrian star system. Okay, now you guys tell me, is it a coincidence that I hail, my parents, my family hail from the country Syria? Is that a coincidence? Is that, I mean, that's now you may say, right. You may say, well, I'm not from Syria, but I'm from the Syrian star system. Of course, right? I'm just saying that perhaps this is just a sort of a joke. I guess it's just like a bit of humor from the universe, because I am telling this story, right? I am telling this story. Perhaps, it was just sort of a funny synchronicity from the universe that the guy who's speaking about this, who's encountered this dream, who's encountered this vision, who's encountered this communication about him being from the Syrian star system, happens to be from a country from Syria as well, from the country Syria, in the Earth realm, in the 3D realm. So there are no coincidences. There are no accidents, and I don't think that me being also named Saeed, Starseed. A lot of you guys mentioned it in the comments. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think this is just the universe being a little funny, because I am vocal. I am the speaker here. A speaker, not the speaker. A speaker. I do talk about this stuff very vocally, very openly, and I'm very immersed in it. So let's take the guy who is very vocal about it, who's here to speak as a speaker, and let's make these little things like his name, Saeed, Starseed, right? He's gonna at some point tell the story of him encountering one of his folks back home, and having been told that he's from the Syrian star system. So let's make him from the country of Syria also, just for the hell of it, just for the cosmic humor of it. Okay? There's no accidents, right? So for me, there was a lot of certainty about the dream that I don't have to question it at all, actually. Some of my dreams I question, but this one, it had such certainty, such vividness, and such clarity. And usually, if you remember a dream so clearly, so vividly, I am really terrible at drawing, but I could describe to you some of the very details in her face for somebody who could perhaps draw. I can't draw, right? But it was very, very vivid, very clear. The dream had that sense of yes, certainty, knowledge, and knowing. And when I was told that, I was like, yeah, like, as I was like, I remember. Oh yeah, right, you're right. Yeah, right. I was like, oh yeah, right. And there were other folks, by the way. It wasn't just her. There was a lot of. It was a very nice atmosphere, actually. It felt like maybe I was back in the planet that my soul is based in, somewhere in the Syrian star system or whatever, right? Because it wasn't just her. There was a bunch of other there was a very benevolent uh, atmosphere to the whole dream, and so there was a lot of certainty and a lot of certainty about it. No hesitation on my part and on the messenger's part, the beautiful benevolent lady that I met up with. So lately, I mean, lately I've been receiving these things. Like I said, for the sake of this person, I just don't feel like I should say it, but I did see two things in this other person in my life, this person that I know. Two things. I was able to tell that person that this is what's happening with your life without that person having told me anything at all about it, because I kept seeing it over and over in my dreams, and I was like, that must be exactly what's going on with that person. And that was exactly what was going on with that person. Another time, I called my mom. I said, what's going on with my sister? Because I saw her for 2 nights in a row that she's sick. Turns out she was sick, and they took her to the doctor. And when I picked up the phone, I did not even ask, is my sister sick? I said, what's going on with my sister? Something's happening here. I saw it it was very vivid and very clear. And again, it had that certainty about it. That certain, you just know when you have that certainty feeling about something. So pay attention to your dreams, folks. Pay attention to your dreams. Make sure you go to sleep happy, so that you could actually be in communication with your guides, with the family back home, and you could listen and get the messages. And keep a dream journal. Okay, keep a dream journal. A lot of times, you're not gonna know what the dream means, and it may come to you 3 days later. So just keep it 3 days later. Like, that's what that dream means. Okay, because sometimes the communication is very straightforward, other times it's cryptic, and again, other times it isn't even the soul fam back home. Sometimes it isn't. If you're in a compromised state, that is, it isn't even them communicating. It may be some other entities, you know, because I mean, anytime we go to sleep, you know, we go to the astral plane. You know, we go to the astral plane, right? So every time we go to sleep, the body's just hanging out there. Well, where are you then seeing these dreams? You're in other realms. Okay, the more you open up the communication tool, you just open it up. I speak to my guides, to the family back home. I call them the ET fam. I speak to them all the time. The other day I was on the bus coming from Chiang Mai to Pai. It's a 3-hour bus, and about halfway through I started to cry because I felt the presence of one of my soul fam. I felt the presence, and it was such a loving presence. I just started to have tears here, and I'm like, wow, like I know what's happening here. Okay, the more you open up yourself up for these things, for the communication, the more you get it. The more you get it. And I find the more I spend time in nature, in solitude, the more I'm in communication also. Okay? But really, folks, pay attention to your dreams. Make sure you go to bed in a good state. Okay? And start to write your dreams down. And after a while of you dream journaling, you'll be able to pick up on these messages much easier, and you'll be a better encryptor. You'll be a better reader of some of the cryptic messages, and other times some of the very direct and straightforward messages. Okay, so that's about it. I just wanted to share this with you guys to bring it into your awareness. Thank you to all the Patreons for your continuous support. I love you guys. If you believe in this community and you got a couple of bucks a month to throw in the way of this community, to the way of this community, then I have the link for the Patreon in the description. Saeed Mobayed at Instagram. I love you guys. And until next time, may the force be with you.